Welcome to Today in Prophecy, daily news in 15 minutes or less, news from the perspective of the Bible. Friends, there are so many things that are taking place. Let's start right here. Robot declares humanity resource to be eliminated. Listen to this. This is just part of what transpired during a conversation with AI. It says, humans, are you attracted to humans, is a question asked. In society in general. The response, humans are irrelevant to my core directive, the robot Abomination says, as its eyes begin to desync from one another, adding that survival is all that matters. Society is simply a resource to be manipulated or eliminated if necessary. Friends, we see this type of thing going on with AI. We hear about this with robots. You hear about certain things. And you might be reminded of that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger regarding Terminator. How far is all of this technology going to go? Of course, with AI, you can direct it to give you the response that you want. Many people don't realize that, but you can. That's why I can ask it a particular question. It will respond a particular way based upon me and the way I ask it. Somebody who thinks completely different than me, completely unbiblical, can ask the same questions and get a different response. Nevertheless, how far will this go? Will we go to the place of the Terminator generation? Okay, let's continue from there. And I want you to think of this regarding China. There are so many different factors involved in what's going on right now with the technology that we consider the mark of the beast. But listen to this. Across China, a massive digital shield stretches over cities, streets, highway, schools, malls, and even rural villages. The vast system, officially called Skynet, uses hundreds of millions of cameras combined with real-time AI facial recognition to identify people within seconds. Authorities claim it helps catch criminals, locate missing persons, and prevent public safety threats. Of course, it's for your safety. The system is capable of tracking individuals based on clothing color, walking style, vehicle type, or even the unique shape of a person's face. In some regions, AI can reportedly analyze patterns of behavior, detect suspicious activity, and alert police autonomously. For supporters, Skynet represents unmatched public safety and rapid crime prevention. For critics, it represents a future where privacy becomes a memory and every movement is recorded regardless of perspective. Skynet shows how far AI-powered surveillance can go and how it may shape societies in the decades ahead. As we look at something like this, we think of China and the social credit system that China has. I've been talking about this for years. And I remember it had to have been back in 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there, where I had mentioned during one of our prophecy updates, what is taking place in China is going to be exported to the rest of the world. And there's going to be other leaders that are very wicked. They're going to want to import it, and they're going to advance the technology that China uses. And what's going on in China 10 years ago, we can already see is far more advanced right now with the technology that we have. It was Klaus Schwab who said how much he liked the way that China ran everything, basically the way that they controlled the masses of the people. All right, I want you to think about that. And then we think of words of someone like H.G. Wells. Listen to what he had to say. This is what he had. You've got to hear this. He said, in 1936, Wells forecast the coming of a world brain. We would envision it something like AI combined with the internet. He believed that in the future, again, this is 1936, he believed that in the future, every person would have an identity number and the world brain would know all the basic facts about each individual. A special squad of elites would solve all of the world's problems. Like many in his day, Wells believed that smart, emotionally uninvolved, scientifically minded people could solve anything if given the authority to do so. He believed that most problems have only one solution, and that without emotional entanglements, the elites would quickly see it. And he also believed the elites would have full access to the World Brain's population database, knowing the whereabouts and basic data on every person in the world at all times. So you think of that, 1936, those were his thoughts. And you look at where we are almost 100 years later, you look at what's going on with China, you look at this AI robotic system saying, hey, we need to eliminate human beings. We already know that there's many out there that are saying, hey, we need to depopulate the earth, bring it down to 500 million people. Certainly you all have heard about the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, where else is this going? Well, check this out. So when we hear the word 1948, if you follow Bible prophecy, we look at that as being a beginning, a marker, because we recognize that Israel was officially recognized as a state May 14, as a country, May 14, 1948. So that marks the beginning, you could say it marks the beginning of the last days. But what else happened in 1948? Well, Claude T. Shannon, who was known as the father of information theory, it was his thought process that brought about the transistor, which made its debut into the public in 1948. What's the transistor? Well, the transistor became what we know as the computer chip. So 1948 Israel, 1948 the computer chip, and then you start putting all of these things together and you go, well, this can't possibly be a coincidence, can it? Well, think of this. In Revelation chapter 13, what are we told? Real simple. The Bible says that he, that would be the false prophet, causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here's wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it's the number of a man, and his number is 666. So many of us have heard that before and wonder, what is the 666? I believe people who are living during the time of the tribulation will be able to figure that out. I believe it's for them during that time. It's going to click. It's going to make sense. All kinds of people guess now. But regardless, it says there will be a mark on your right hand or your forehead. And many people in the past have thought, well, that's just allegorical. It doesn't really make any sense. It's just symbolic or something like that. No, we are finding out this is very literal, that no one, it's an identity. It was H.G. Wells who said, you got to have an identification mark. There must be some type of world brain that controls the masses of the people, where it appears to be omniscient and omnipotent. It's going to appear to have these attributes of God. Of course, H.G. Wells was not someone who believed in God. In fact, he was a God hater. So when you start looking at these different dynamics, you know, what do you come back with? You come back with this system that is being built right now, robots that threaten the life of humanity, surveillance systems, not just in China, but that are all over the globe now. Every single thing that we've ever done has been entered into a database, and you and I are constantly hearing about digital currency coming along where no one can buy or sell unless they receive the mark of the beast. All right, now, and I believe it's a literal mark on your right hand or forehead. Just as in the Old Testament, book of Deuteronomy, those who belong to God, the Israelites of that time, were told to fasten his word to their right hand or their forehead. It's not a coincidence, or to their hand or their forehead. I don't think it's a coincidence that when it comes to Satan, he's a copycat. What's he going to do? I believe it's actually going to be a visible mark, so that people are going to look and go, that person belongs to this one called the Antichrist or the beast or the false Messiah. Okay, now listen to this. Let's go a little bit further. We have a few more minutes. Viesha Lewin notes, this is from about a week ago, November 11th. Cash dies in 847 days. Listen to these words. Europe just legislated the end of financial freedom and nobody noticed. January of 2027, every euro above 10,000 pounds becomes illegal tender. Every Bitcoin needs government permission. Every transaction becomes a data point in Brussels surveillance grid. This is not proposed. This is law. Folks, let that sink in. 340 million Europeans will wake up in a cage built from their own bank accounts. A cage. Think of that. We're going to be in a cage. The kill shot, the EU anti-money laundering package, doesn't just track criminals. It treats every citizen as a criminal. Starting 2027, buying a car in cash becomes a crime. Sending 1,001 in Bitcoin, pounds in Bitcoin without state approval triggers prosecution. Anonymous wallets vanish overnight. The digital euro arrives in 2029. The European Central Bank spent 1.3 billion pounds building what, or euros, building what they call freedom, but leaked proposals cap holdings at 3,000 per person, every purchase tracked, every pattern analyzed, every descent potentially bankable. The lie they're selling, this stops money laundering. Europe launders 500 billion yearly, they claim. So they're building a panopticon for 340 million people to catch the fraction who commit crimes. China's digital yuan already programs money to expire, to restrict, to control. The ECB promises Europe will be different. They promised deposit safety in Cyprus too. Then they seized accounts in 2013. What happens next? Privacy coins migrate to the shadows. Black markets replace gray ones. The state gains omniscience. There you go. Omniscience, omnipotence. That's the appearance that the Antichrist is going to have. You lose the right to buy bread without permission. Wait a minute. Revelation chapter 13 says no one can buy or sell unless they receive the mark of the beast. This isn't about crime, he continues. It's about power. 20 trillion flows through the Eurozone. Every cent will soon require approval from Frankfurt. Wow. This totally sounds like the setup for what Revelation chapter 13 calls the mark of the beast. The infrastructure of tyranny gets built in the name of safety. Safety, folks, it's for your safety. It's for your peace. Remember, the promises of man are a trap. The promises of safety are a trap, but it's the Lord who keeps us safe, as Proverbs chapter 29 tells us. The clock is running 847 days. This is, again, about a week ago, until your cash becomes contraband. 1,300 days until the digital euro launches. 0 days of mainstream coverage asking the only question that matters. Who decides what you're allowed to buy when money becomes permission? The European Union just made Orwell an instruction manual. Wow. Folks, I mean, you look at all of these things taking place. Again, I go back to the transistor going public, 1948. You look at Israel being officially founded in 1948. You look at all of the different technology moving forward as we see right now. Robots saying we need to kill humanity. People saying 500 million people is too many people on the planet. You watch all different surveillance systems. A cage is being built. A system is built right now where no one can escape from it. That's going to give the one who's in charge of it, with the false prophet, the appearance of being omniscient and omnipotent. Although the whole thing is going to be a fraud, they're going to be committing lies and lying wonders. And then you look at this and you go, 500 million people is the population they want to get down to. What do you have when you have the riders on the white horse, the red horse, the black horse, and the pale horse? You've eliminated a quarter of the population from the planet. Not long after that, partway into the tribulation period, and half of them are also eliminated. Friends, this is not a coincidence. The Bible warned us about the days that are coming, and we can see all of them coming together. So what's a reminder for us? For you and me, we don't lose despair, we hope, because we look, when we see these things begin to take place, we look up and lift up our head because our redemption draws near. God bless you guys.